Thanks again, everybody, for joining us today on our Learning Lab Live. I see a lot of folks logged in. If you have questions, we're going to ask that you put it in the chat, which you can find on the far right-hand part of your screen. At the very bottom of the screen, you'll notice a little chat feature. You can type in there your questions. We'll get to those questions at the end of the presentation. I'll be monitoring the chat room, so please, if you have those questions, you can ask away there. And then, hold that until the very end, and we can get some of those questions answered for you as well. Those of you just joining us a few seconds ago, this is being recorded. So if you do miss any part of the presentation, or maybe you want to go back and rewatch it, it's going to be available on OSFM's YouTube page or on the Illinois CRR website, which is found at sfm.illinois.gov/Illinois CRR. Joel Feldman is a personal injury attorney from Philadelphia. For many years, he represented those who had been injured or killed in distracted driving crashes. Yet, he himself often drove distracted. That changed when his 21-year-old daughter, Kaci, was killed by a distracted driver. Since Kaci's death, he's devoted his professional life to distracted driving education with programs for teens and adults. He has given more than 1,000 distracted driving presentations in more than 45 states and Canada. His presentation includes education about slow down and move over laws and the vital role that responders play in keeping our communities safe. He himself is also a recovering distracted driver. Joel, the floor is yours. And thank you again for joining us and sharing your story, and also for all that you're doing to help keep all of us safe.
Thank you, JC. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to be with all of you today. It's the summer, so schools are out, and I'm not doing very many presentations, and I get antsy. I need to talk about this. I need to talk about this. So what you see before you now is the title screen of our teen distracted driving presentation. And this is a train the trainer session. So I'll be trying to do this as if you would do it. And when I go out of role, so to speak, you'll know it. But I want you to feel comfortable giving this presentation. And we need you to do this. We need you to do this. You probably know this, but I did a little research, and you guys, firefighters, are about the most valued and respected profession. You look at the chart, and my profession, lawyers, isn't even on the chart. That says something about it, right? So you guys are respected by folks. So let's just get right into this. Good morning. I'm here to talk to you about distracted driving, and I want to let you know right from the beginning that it is not just a teen problem. I drove distracted, still drive distracted, but I'm working on getting better. It's not just a teen problem. You guys have seen your moms and dads do this, probably everybody doing it, but we can do better. We can do better with respect to this. So let me just show you this. Overall, it's bad out there. Yes, if you look, there might be some coming down from the pandemic. We're killing less people on the road, but it's unconscionable that we kill all these people. And from my generation, I'm probably as old as your parents, maybe even older. I apologize to you. You're getting your driver's license, or you're new drivers, and this is the environment in which you're in. And my generation has not done enough to make the roads safe for you. Now, I don't tell you this to scare you, but I tell you this because there are things you can do, but you have to know it's crazy out there. How many of you in the last 30 days, while being a passenger in your parents' car, have seen someone go through a red light? Practically all of you. It's dangerous out there. And again, we're not here to scare you, but we want you to know how bad it is. And yes, there's positive steps you can take to keep yourself and your passengers safe. And again, this is again just the way it is. And again, an apology. It's unconscionable in our country that we allow more than 2,800 teens to be killed in motor vehicle crashes each year. And again, you did not create this problem, but you're stuck with it. And that's why we're here today. So long and short of these slides are really more of you are going to be killed or injured by distracted driving than drunk driving, and you're 3 times as likely to be in a fatal crash caused by distraction as your parent. It is the leading cause of accidental preventable harm, death for kids today. So this is a picture of Kaci Feldman. Kaci Feldman was killed by a distracted driver. She was 21 years old, and her father, Joel Feldman, created this presentation years ago and keeps working on it. And this is the presentation that we're giving you today. You have everything that Kaci has in that picture. When this picture was taken, Kaci was 18 years old.
Call
She
has been
was
forwarded to an
about to
automated voice messaging system.
Kaci was about to be graduating from high school, and she had a life and she had a future. But of course, today she doesn't have that. You have everything that Kaci has in that picture, and I'm here to let you know that it can be taken away from you in just a few seconds. This is an overview of what we want you to think about. I'm going to talk to you about speed limits. The GDL restrictions are those restrictions that say that you have a curfew when you first get your license, and it limits the number of passengers in the car. The GDL restrictions, without comparison to anything else, have saved more teen lives over the last 20 years than anything else. And I'm going to talk about all the rest of these as we go through the presentation. First off, how many of you in the last 30 days have been a passenger in a car where your driver was driving distracted? And I'm guessing many of you are raising your hands right now. So I want to talk to you about what you can say to the driver to keep them off their phone. So first off, if you're going to do something, naturally you want to know you're going to be effective. You want to know that you're likely to get them to put the phone down. Well, if the answer to this is 25%, you might say, why bother? But it's 90%. 90% of teens are going to put their phones down if a friend says something about it. How you say it really, really matters. How you say it really, really matters. So, assuming that you guys are driving distracted, you have your friend in the car, which of these two statements would you prefer your passenger to use to let you know of their concern? First one, get off the phone before we crash. Second one, hey, I don't feel safe when you're driving and look at your phone. Time and time again, students are going to tell us, well, they like the second one. And why do you like the second one? Well, the first one, if you think about it, it's kind of in your face, right? And if you got defensive, you're likely to get defensive. We want to have a conversation. Now, many of you know what I'm talking about because in schools around the country, in middle school, they're teaching interpersonal communication, specifically I feel statements. It's a way of conversing where you don't raise defenses and you get something done. You get something done. And that's what this is all about here. We know, unfortunately, that many of your moms and dads are not setting a good example for you when it comes to driving. And that'll be speed, but also distracted driving. How do you speak up with mom and dad? Well, for anybody, it has to be respectful. If you're going to talk to someone, it has to be respectful. We don't want you to say, get off your phone. We want you to use the I feel statement as we've talked about it. Again, don't ask people to get off their phone. Tell them how you feel about it. And in the context of a caring relationship, and we've actually studied this, many teens would say if they were the driver who was distracted, they would feel badly if they put their friend in the position where their friend had to speak up. Now let's talk about moms and dads. We spent a weekend with moms and dads in Michigan, and we figured out the best language. This is the best language here. I don't feel safe. But we're going to do something really sneaky. We're going to add just a couple of words to it. I think it's sneaky, yes, but it gets the job done. And when you see it, when I reveal this, you're probably going to chuckle. And you'll also say, yes, that's going to get the job done. Just tell them you love them. Mom, I love you. Dad, I love you. But I don't feel safe when you drive me and look at your phone. And I can tell you as a parent, if my child said this to me, I would put my phone down and I'd feel embarrassed for having done that. I'd feel embarrassed. Just to underscore this again about how effective you guys can be with mom and dad, 1,000 parents were surveyed. You guys, tied with laws, are the most effective deterrent to getting your parents to put their phone down. Don't tell them they're hypocrites because they tell you not to drive distracted, but they do it. You're not going to have any kind of a conversation with them. You just stop the conversation immediately. Stop it immediately. Tell them you love them, but you don't feel safe. Respectful, and it gets the job done.
Dad, I love you, but I don't feel safe when you drive me and look at your phone.
Sorry.
So we hope that you'll think about that. We hope that you'll think about how you can speak up, whether it's your friend or your parent. Let's talk about defensive driving. I've already told you how bad it is out there, how dangerous it is out there, but there are things you can do to keep yourself safe. Defensive driving is a way of thinking about things. And if for some of you who don't yet have your licenses, you can actually practice this without driving. And those of you who have your licenses, you can practice this while driving as a passenger with mom and dad. Thinking about things. What we're doing is we're making predictions about what other people will do wrong. We're suspicious. I'm going to run this video and then we're going to talk about it. Top of the screen, you see two cars. They're going to come towards us and stop for the red light. Behind him is a white SUV. The young lady who's driving it is changing the music on her phone. The two cars stop. The young lady on the white SUV doesn't stop. Driver of the black car has the green light. Driver of the black car has the green light. Again, I'm not showing this to get you nervous about it. I want you to drive. I want you to drive safely. I want you to drive safely. We're not even going to talk about the driver of the white car, of the white SUV. It's so obvious what they did wrong. If we are drivers and we're suspicious of other people, we can avoid many crashes. Anytime we approach a green light, all it means is that we are not going to get a ticket. It does not mean we're going to be safe. And if the light's been green for a little while, what we might call a stale green light, slow down, and be prepared to stop, because you don't want to be in that no man's land where you're so close to it, the light turns yellow and you're not sure, do you speed up and get through it, or do you slam on the brakes and maybe get hit from behind from someone else? So it's slowing down consciously when we see green lights, not just assuming that other people will do the right thing. We assume that other people will do the wrong things. Following distance, that's the last bullet. That's so important. Many teen crashes, many crashes just with anyone are rear-end collisions. One car slams into the back of the car in front of them. The bulk of teen crashes are rear-end collisions. So if you can leave enough distance between you and the car in front of you, you can avoid a major source of crashes and problems. Simple rule we use to determine if we're the right following distance: you're following another car. When that car in front of you gets to a fixed object on the side of the road, could be an overhead speed sign, it could be a utility pole, a parked car, anything. When it gets there, you start counting. 1001, 1002, 1003. If you get to 1003 and you're not yet at that fixed object, then you know you're leaving enough room. If you don't have that much time, then you slow up a little bit. It's simple, like remember the following distance. It's a way to keep yourself safe. And again, when you're the first car stopped at a red light and the light turns from red to green for you, we do not go. We look to our left, we look to our right, because there's always some idiot who's trying to beat the light. The last thing I'll tell you is about when you're stopped to make a left turn and you're waiting for traffic in the other direction. Never turn your steering wheel in anticipation of the turn, because if you're hit from behind by someone, you're going to be driven into the path of oncoming traffic. Keep the wheel straight. We're anticipating we might get hit from behind from other drivers. Great videos on YouTube about defensive driving. And again, you don't have to be in a car, you don't have to have your license to practice this. It's really about your head, the way you think about stuff. I'm going to run this one again. Each and every one of you is now the driver of the black car. Each and every one of you knows we have to be suspicious when we're getting to an intersection. We always slow down. Each and every one of you is anticipating that the drivers who will be coming from your right and left are distracted. And it's your job to keep yourself and your passenger safe. So let's run this one. And I bet if you were driving the black car, you could have avoided the crash. Driver of the black car doesn't slow down. It's a wide open intersection. This is something you can do. It's something you have to do to keep yourself safe. All right, so I know all of you kids know what that means. I'm sort of smiling here, and I shouldn't because it's serious, but what does that mean to your mom and dad? Does it mean 40 plus 5? Does it mean 40 plus 10? Is there something wrong with your mom and dad's vision? They look at a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit and they see 50. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. So I want to talk to you about speed limit signs. I spent a lot of time with engineers and all, and they've looked at crash reports for specific areas. They set a speed limit that's the maximum speed limit, so if something unexpected happens, you're likely to avoid a crash. It's a margin of safety. So for all of you drivers about to get your licenses, those who newly have your licenses, hey, if you're concerned about being in a crash, speed limits are your friend. Drive differently than mom and dad when it comes to speed limits. Let's talk about survivability of crashes. I'm going to talk to you now about kinetic energy. I'll give you the formula. I'm not a physics person. We can discuss it without being really physics people, but you'll get the idea. The formula is 1/2 the mass of the vehicle times velocity, but it's velocity squared. So you guys know that that really ramps up this kinetic energy. Why are we concerned about kinetic energy? Well, the force of a moving object with you as a passenger, when that stops in a crash, that energy has to go somewhere and it goes through you. The higher the kinetic energy, the more likely you'll be injured or killed. The lower the kinetic energy, the more likely you'll survive. 1/2 mass times velocity squared. Let's look at these. Now we're going to go 16 miles per hour over the speed limit and double the kinetic energy. For this next part of this video, I want each and every one of you to think you are the crash dummy and it's your neck. Please, please, please obey the speed limits, even though mom and dad don't. And think about it from this perspective too. 40 squared, and I promise you I'm not going to get overly complicated here. 40 squared is 1600. That's plugged into the formula. 50 squared is 2500. That's plugged into the formula. So you can see much more kinetic energy that your body has to deal with. Conversely, if you're paying attention, and if you may avoid a crash, but even if you don't avoid a crash, if you get your foot on the brake, let's say you're going 20 miles an hour, you get 20 times 20 squared is 400. 400 versus 1600 versus 2500. You get the idea. And I think we know the answer to this. If we're looking at our phones, we can't protect ourselves and those that we care about in the car with us. So what I'd like you guys to do is, after I play this video, I'd like to get responses to this. Just one word, what do you think about this? And we can put this today for our purposes in the chat. JC, do you want to wait a minute or two and see if people put some responses in the chat? How's that work?
Yeah, if you guys can put something in here, Joel, you're looking for one-word answers, couple-word answers,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, one or
Anybody have
two
anything?
words. Yep, exactly. That would be great.
Can't be multitasking while you're driving. If somebody put that in there. I would say disturbing. That's what I thought of. I've been guilty of this. Somebody put idiot. Irresponsible, craziness, absolutely dangerous, not paying attention, danger waiting to happen, playing with fire, no good.
Great.
Perfect.
All right, so I'm sort of out of role now. I'm talking to you folks as firefighters now. We play this video for kids, and I also played it for adults. I do a lot of business talks, and these are the collective reactions we get. But actually, until today, because I'm assuming whoever said irresponsible is an adult, I've never had an adult say anything in the kid column. So when you do this with the kids, they are going to say selfish, irresponsible, and disrespectful. This is really an important part of this. We want to make the point that talking about distracted driving is dangerous. Hey, if you're driven distracted like I have, you guys, the speakers, you probably thought it wasn't dangerous when you did it, or you wouldn't do it. Hey, you're a great driver, right? But if someone would tell you that it was selfish, irresponsible, or disrespectful, that's totally different. So what the kids are doing, they're looking at the driver, holding him personally responsible. They're also talking about values. This is critical. This is critical. This is vital to a presentation. This is, in my opinion, vital to changing the culture of distracted driving in our country. Make it personal. Make it about values. Who here wants to be thought of as being selfish? And I bet if you were all in a room with me and I said, hey, does anyone think that looking at your phone while driving down the road with your kids in the car or sharing the road with other people, anyone think that's selfish or irresponsible? You'd all raise your hands. You'd all raise your hands. Values. Let's talk about values. That's the way we're going to change our culture.
A primary value ingrained in us from our earliest days: respect for others, the golden rule, treating others the way we would like to be treated. We all want to be treated with respect. That's why we don't like it when we see others driving distracted. In fact, 88% of surveyed drivers said that their largest traffic safety concern is distracted driving. So doesn't that tell us something about how we want to be treated by others while on the road? Yet 45% of us read text or emails behind the wheel anyway. Isn't it time we practice what we learned as children, especially when driving? Let's end distracted driving. It's a matter of respect.
I'm still out of character because I'm talking to you guys as adults now. I'm sure many of you with children have talked to your kids about it and said the golden rule, hey, treat other people the way you want to be treated. Well, we all know how we want to be treated on the road. Don't we hate it when we see the guy in the car next to us looking at their phone? Yet we do it. We do it. We can do better, and I know we can do better. We can do better. Now, let me just, at the end of that, it said that we kill more than 10,000 people a year with respect to distracted driving. Just a quick explanation. If you go on the US.NHTSA site, it'll be about 3,200. The 10,000 is basically a statistical computation, a really good estimate of the folks we're really killing. The 3,200 is based just on admissions and proof and crash reports. And we know for a lot of reasons why that's not accurate. So we're actually killing more than 10,000 people a year from distracted driving. We kill about 12 to 13,000 from drunk driving. And actually for the economic cost, they've calculated the economic cost of distracted driving now more than that of drunk driving.
I wasn't texting, I wasn't using a cell phone, but I still killed someone. I was 17, prom was coming up. I was ready to leave high school. I was excited about the summer and going off to college. I was on my way back from my clarinet lesson. I was hungry, so I was looking at my GPS. My car drifted into the breakdown lane on the side of the highway, and I hit a man and I killed him. I'm responsible. When I was driving, I had a choice. I could have pulled over to the side of the road just a few seconds. It changes everything. It's just hard. Distracted driving is a choice, and it's a selfish one to make.
So Kate was about to go to the prom and she killed someone while driving. What would it be like for you? What would it be like for any of us to kill someone? How do we live with that? And we're killing 10,000 people a year. So there's 10,000 families each year who've lost a loved one and suffer, and it'll never be the same. But there's also the drivers. You never get over it. You never get over the fact that you killed someone. And so I'm not going to tell you what to do because that doesn't work. I'm just going to ask you, if you choose to drive without distraction, I think, but what do you think? Does that reveal something positive about your values? I certainly think it does, and I hope so. Kids say they're surveyed all the time, and there's just a couple of big reasons why they say, hey, I don't think I should drive distracted. This is one of them. This is one of them. So now, all of you right now, I want you to assume you're driving, even if you don't have your license, assume you're driving, you're behind the wheel of a car. You know more about your phones than I'll ever know. So I'm just going to tell you, today you didn't put your phone on Do Not Disturb while driving. You guys know what I'm talking about. So you are tempted. Every time a notification comes in, you are tempted. You're driving the car. Hands on the steering wheel, a notification comes in, you look away from the road a couple of seconds, bring your focus back, look away for a couple of seconds. All of a sudden you hear a noise. You hear something, but you don't see anything. You hear this noise, so you stop the car, you get out, you open the door, you look around. At first you don't see anything. Then you look under your car, and there you see that little boy's body crossing the street in a crosswalk. And because he's so little, he doesn't go in the hood of your car. You sucked him underneath the car. The noise you heard, you're dragging his little body down the road. Now, you didn't kill him. You paralyzed him from the neck down. Permanent, irreversible, till the day he dies, and you did that. Are you ever getting over that? 10,000 people killed a year from distracted driving. Close to 30,000 serious life-altering injuries like little X. And it could be any one of us. It could be any one of us.
Say one. Say two. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. High five.
Server 13 Columbia, Server 13 Columbia. Major traffic crash, need multiple.
I want to talk to you now about responders. Who comes to our aid when we're in trouble? Is it police, fire? Don't we want those people to be able to get home safely to their families? They're being killed and injured in record numbers, and largely and likely it's because of distracted drivers. We hear stories all the time about fire trucks that are hit, ambulances that are hit, police cars that are hit, and tragically, there are many, many responders who are killed or badly injured. When you're driving on a highway, let's say it's a local interstate, and you see those flashing lights in front of you, you must, it's the law in all 50 states, you must slow down. And if their lane next to you is open, you put your signal on, you move over if possible. If you can't, you slow down. Generally, it's 20 miles per hour less than the posted speed limit. Let's do our part to keep the responders safe. Now, going out of role here, you guys must have, I'm sure you have terrible stories about this in your localities. You know people have been killed or injured. And I didn't say this at the beginning, but by all means, adapt the presentation, put in slides, videos, whatever you want to do. It's if you want to do it the way it is, fine. If you want to add something to it, that's great. That's fine. You can do that. You know, and when we talk to you guys, the kids, we hear that you say one of the best reasons not to drive distracted is that you could kill someone and have to live with it. We also hear that your mom, that it would be for mom. And what I'm talking about here is I'm not talking about mom telling you not to drive distracted. How many of you guys who have your licenses here, your mom has told you not to drive distracted? Yeah, it looks like all of you. All right, hopefully you'll be honest with me. How many of you still drive distracted? I appreciate your honesty. Many of the hands are being raised. So I'm not talking about mom talking to you. I'm talking about what would happen to your mom if you were killed. That's what I'm talking about. The moment when a family knows that their life will never be the same, death notification. 10,000 times a year, families are told that. 3,000 times a year, parents of teens are told that. I want you to think beyond yourself. I want you to think about what would it be like for your family, particularly mom, if you were killed in a crash.
These are the shears I use to cut through your clothes. This is the table where I'll put your purse, your wallet, your jewelry, your phone. This is the clock where I'll mark the time. This is the bag I'll wrap around your body. This is the room where I'll tell your mother you're dead. Put down the phone. Pay attention to the road.
So the kids who inform Mr. Feldman when he creates this presentation suggested to him that he really needs to have a public service announcement, a video from a mom who's lost a child. And so Kaci's mom recorded this, and she wants you to know about this.
I want my mom. Those were my daughter Kaci's last words before she died, after she was run over in a crosswalk by a distracted driver. And I want my Kaci more than anything. My heart aches every single day. So I know how your mother would suffer if you were killed in a crash. She would never recover. But you have the power to keep your mom from suffering. Thinking of looking at your phone while driving? Think of your mom.
Hey guys, think of your mom. Isn't she worth it? Isn't she worth it? Kids also say that they don't want to be crippled in a crash. So let's look at this quickly in the context of seatbelts. I know you've been taught all about seatbelts, but persistently, a lot of people don't wear their seatbelts, and unfortunately, a lot of that is teens. I want you to imagine you're the rear seat passenger, unrestrained in this car. It's going to slam into a wall at 35 miles per hour. If you are not restrained, not wearing your seatbelt, guess what? You're going to be going 35 miles per hour. Watch how this unrestrained crash dummy becomes a missile, slams into the back of the driver's seat, actually breaks the driver's seat back, and then rebounds and would go through the sunroof. And then if you're the driver, look at all the force put upon you. Look how that seat back breaks. Seat backs are not made to withstand that force. So once you're beyond the GDL restrictions and you can have a bunch of kids in the car, unrelated kids in the car, for your protection and theirs, before you start driving, turn around and make sure they have their seatbelts on. Make sure they have their seatbelts on. And I'll give you the answer to this one. So Mr. Feldman has worked with about 30 different people who've killed or crippled others while driving distracted. You already saw one, Kate, in that video where she said she was a selfish driver. But in working with those people, he asks them, why did you think it was okay What was your reason? And these are the reasons. And those people ranged in ages. Yes, there are teens and those in the 20s, but there are also some in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. But these are the reasons. And I bet if you've been driving and you've looked at your phones while driving, you've probably given yourself some of these excuses. And they're excuses. So let's say you kill someone. You will get your day in court. Which of these excuses do you want to tell the judge? Or do you want to tell a grieving mom if you've killed her kid? Which one of these? Hey, I was only changing the music. It only takes a few seconds. I'm a great multitasker. The driver who killed Kaci actually said he only looked away for a few seconds. If we kill 10,000 people a year, it's been 16, 17 years since Kaci was killed, that's 160,000 people. Just quickly, if you do the math, 6 into 160, let's say 6 into 150, it's easier. 25,000 people have been killed by each excuse. And yet, each and every day, many of us think that we're going to get away with this. Well, we get away with it, but only to a point. Only to a point. So what you're seeing now is Mr. Feldman's wrists and wristbands. For all the years he's been doing these presentations, he's met many families who've lost kids and spouses and parents to distracted driving. And what families do who've lost a loved one, many families, they create a wristband in their dead kid's favorite color. The upper wrist, the ENDD, pink, that was Kaci's favorite color. And you can actually go through these and you could look at them, and some of them we know the excuse for. Some of them we know they've killed others by saying, hey, I'm just changing the music. I'm a really good driver. It's only 2 or 3 seconds. It's only 2 or 3 seconds. So, maybe this is the visual that I want you to have when you're seated in your car. And if you don't put on Do Not Disturb while driving and you're tempted, maybe you'll think about this and say, it's not for me. 160 or so thousand people since Kaci was killed have thought that they could get away with it, and they couldn't. Maybe we're not all that special. Maybe it can happen to us. And it just does take a few seconds. Why is this important? Study after study shows if we look away from the road for more than 2 seconds, we double our crash risk. Happens really, really quickly. Ashley had her license for just a very short period of time, maybe a month, and she was texting, and her car drifted over the double yellow line, and the truck was coming the other direction, and she was killed. So, you who are driving, new drivers, and those of you who are not yet driving, I want you to think about this. I can tell you, as I admitted at the beginning, that I drove distracted. I would have told you anything. I would have told you I was a safe driver. But if I look back at it, I'm wondering, maybe I was a lucky driver. So I think you guys have to make a decision. Are you going to be safe drivers or lucky drivers? And of course, we hope you guys are going to choose to be safe drivers. Pedestrian and cyclists are being killed in record numbers. I'm going to show you some of that in a moment. But just as I've told you that you need to be defensive drivers, you need to be defensive walkers. Don't assume if you have the right of way as a pedestrian that the driver is paying attention. Kaci maybe assumed that, and she's dead. Xavier, he had the right of way in the crosswalk, and he's paralyzed from the neck down. We have to protect ourselves as pedestrians from distracted drivers. Going in the wrong direction. Bicyclists, I mean, literally off the chart, right? Literally off the chart. And I bet those of you who ride a bike can probably tell us some of the close calls that you guys have had because drivers are not paying attention. This driver was driving, young lady, and she had something in her backpack, which is on the passenger seat, the front seat. And she decided to look in it while she was driving instead of pull over. If you don't want to see this man hit, you can look away. The video will stop for a moment. Please, please, please protect yourselves as drivers, passengers in the car, and also as pedestrians. I think maybe so we save ourselves some more time. Well, let me run through these quickly. I'll run through these really quickly. There's going to be an issue of hands-free. The long and short of this is many studies will show us that driving hands-free, since our brains are still engaged, it's still dangerous. Here's a quick study from Canada, and then I'll get out of the share here. What they did is they filmed 170 drivers. The drivers on the left, you can actually see the cameras there. The drivers on the left were just driving. The drivers on the right were having hands-free Bluetooth conversations. The researchers went back and looked at hours of film, and you can see on the left, the pink border, virtually half of the windshield if we're not on our phone. On the right, tunnel vision, and we are not scanning the road. Many of you drivers here, and probably your parents, would probably tell you, if they're being honest, while having a hands-free call, may have missed an exit on a highway, or maybe arrived at the destination and wondered, gosh, how did I get here? You made it safe, made it safely, luckily, but you still weren't fully paying attention. So we do talk about this with respect to kids in classes and actually adults as well. So I think I'm going to stop sharing here and let's talk.
So if you have questions, you want to put them in the chat, or raise your hand and please ask away. I'll monitor the chat room and we can go from there.
And again, I'm going to talk until we get questions in. Credibility. I told you at the beginning, you guys are very credible. You're very credible. I think you enhance your credibility when you admit right off the bat that you've driven distracted. And I'm guessing everybody here is driven distracted. We've done surveys of kids and they say that's really, really significant to them. It's a different type of presentation. The old guy, well, I'm older than you guys, but the old guy coming in isn't telling us we're doing it all wrong. He's saying he's part of the problem too, but that we can all correct it. So I think that's important for credibility, really important for credibility. I didn't mention, but we do have some elementary school materials as well. We've got a K-1 distracted driving picture book, and then which firefighters are going into schools and reading. We also have a 2 through 5 elementary lesson plan, and that actually the teachers give. But, you know, my asks, I guess, here for today are hopefully some of you will want to talk to teens yourself. And, you know, if you don't want to for some other reason, hey, get us the connection in the school and we'll get a volunteer to get in there. And then maybe some of you will want to let elementary schools know about it. I know you go into schools, some of you, and talk about fire safety. Maybe in all the spirit of community risk reduction, distracted driving needs to be a part of that.
And that's what we talk about too with community risk reduction. It's a holistic approach. So we're not just talking about fire safety. We're not talking about this over here. It's an all hands on deck approach to how we can reduce risk in the community. What are some of the things that you have found to be most successful when going in and talking to these students? And then I've got another question just popped in and I'll get to that one in a second.
I really think the most important thing is to be honest. I mean, I think that if you come in honestly and you tell them you've driven distracted, and you guys have stories. I mean, what you guys are seeing on the highways, whether it's the public or it's your firefighters or your colleagues. Audiences, I don't care if it's teens or adults, they recognize that, they feel that, they know that. And the presentation itself. Now, maybe some of you, because I've had this come up in the past, some of you have driven distracted, say, hey, I'd be a real hypocrite going in there. Well, yeah, you would be a hypocrite going in there if you didn't admit to them first that you drove distracted. Once you admit that, you're no longer a hypocrite. So don't let the potential hypocrisy stop you. These kids need our help. I mean, just think about it. You've got the smartphones, they're addicted to them. Many of us didn't have those. Well, I certainly didn't have it. I guess some of you guys did have that growing up. But how many of us have had engaged in a potentially dangerous behavior, distracted driving, and it emulates what our mom and dad do? Think about that. These kids have it tough. Their moms and dads drive distracted, they're addicted to the phone, and they're inexperienced drivers. I mean, we need to help them. There's so much more we can do. So much more we can do.
All right, we have two questions. Does distracted driving law apply to phones? What about putting on makeup, eating food? I think you talked about changing radio stations. I mean, we see everybody doing that daily.
So Illinois, of course, is a hands-free state. You were one of the first ones. So you can't touch the phone for any reason. So there's specific statute, and I mean, I'm a lawyer, but I don't know your laws. That's my disclosure. I don't know to answer more detailed, but you could be you could get a ticket, and let's assume you didn't kill anybody. You could get a ticket if you're holding the phone, but if a police officer sees you eating a Big Mac, dropping stuff on yourself, not looking around, I mean, you can get a ticket for careless driving or whatever Illinois' equivalent of that is. But yes, for kids, it's the phone is the biggest distraction.
Can we access this program, this presentation at ndd.org to use for public presentations? That's Tiffany.
Yes, although JC, you have this presentation. I sent it to you, right?
Yes, I will look, and if not, I'll get it from you. And then
I think it'd be it'd be simpler and cleaner because we have our website person says, oh, if people want the presentation, you may have to make them register and put their name down and send them an email. So it's simpler. Just get it from JC or get it from me. I mean, I'm pretty simple to find. It's, endd.org, enddistracteddriving.org. I'll send it to you. Now, the presentation that JC has is the updated one. I just updated a week or two ago. It's a PC version. We will shortly have the Mac version as well. I don't have it today, but we'll shortly have it.
And then I can also put that on our CRR webpage too, in a spot under resources. That could be another spot that folks could access that once I get that and get that put up there. That could be another resource on our page too.
Yeah. But let me just ask this because we do have the chat here. Does anybody think that they might be interested in the K-1 distracted driving picture book, or at least contacting the elementary school and letting them know about it? And we're teaching kids in elementary school about slow down, move over. So if in the chat, just say what you'd be interested in. I guess even if you're interested in doing the teen presentation, it'd be kind of nice to hear or see that. I also make this offer. Yeah, I also make this offer. If you can get a couple of schools lined up for the same day or something, if my schedule allows, I'll fly out and I'll do the talk with you if you want, the teen talk. I've done that with probably 100 different speakers across the country, some firefighters, some police, some just people in the community. And they said, hey, for the first one, I'd like somebody to do it with me. And that's another thing. You could tag team on this. A couple of you could do the presentation together.
And I agree with Chris. Chris Benark is our fire service outreach coordinator. He thinks this is something outreach could partner with CRR to deliver for sure. And I agree with that. That's something we as community risk reduction can help push across the state through some of our partners as well. Does anybody else have any other questions? I guess, sorry, I've got one that just popped in as I was saying that. Why are speed limits increasing if driving over the limits are an issue? And Terry asked that question.
Gosh, I think it's the pandemic really did a number on us in a lot of ways. And maybe you may remember from those stats on overall highway deaths and teen deaths, it went up during the pandemic. It's slowly coming back down. A lot of people say it's lack of enforcement, and this is not, not a jab at the police, but it's a lack of enforcement. A lot of police departments won't enforce it unless they get funding from their state highway office, which is federal money, to pay for the overtime and all. So it is the lack of enforcement. And for teens, I mean, when you show that 40-mile-per-hour speed limit sign and you ask them, what does that mean? They look at you like, well, is that a trick question? And then you say, what does it mean to your mom and dad? They all laugh. They know, because their moms and dads routinely don't obey speed limits. Now, maybe we're in more of a hurry, that kind of thing. I'll give you this one, though. My wife and I were in a car with someone else who was driving, and they were driving the speed limit. And they had their wife in the front seat. We were in the back. And my wife said, gosh, you know what? I just really appreciate it that you're driving the speed limit. And the driver kind of, our age, he looked and he said, I got my wife and my dear friends in the car. Why wouldn't I drive the speed limit? Maybe we need to think about that. I mean, generally, I'm talking in our cars now, not the service vehicles, but in our cars, if we have passengers, if it's our wife or our kids, it's the people we care most about in the world with us. And yeah, we're great drivers. Maybe we haven't been in a crash, but maybe we should think twice about speed, because I know people who have moms and dads who, I'm getting like a little sad because I'm working with a guy now and it's just off the charts, incredible, terrible. He was driving, he was speeding, and he was looking at his phone and he killed this 10-year-old kid. I mean, how do you deal with that? And then the other ones where people were driving distracted, and maybe it was the other driver who went through the red light, and a dad was driving distracted who had the green light, but his kid is still killed in the car crash. I mean, how do you live with that, guys? So speed limits, they're there to protect us. Maybe we just make a decision. We're going to leave 5 minutes earlier on all our trips and obey the speed limit for our protection and others.
And I will say this, I do know that ISP does do a lot of stuff with teen drivers around prom time, but it's mostly alcohol based. They don't do as much distracted driving, but it is getting more into that curriculum. I've heard a few of those that they are starting to focus more on that. Somebody commented they believe Secretary of State has some programs or employees that do classes as well across the state of Illinois. So those are some other resources that maybe we could reach out to, partner with, and see if we can't make more connections. Because in CRR, it's about making those connections, getting those partnerships, and seeing how we can expand on those partnerships. And that's what we're always trying to do with our community risk reduction group. Does anybody else have any other questions, comments? And I'll just say this, it's made me think about my driving habits just sitting here thinking about this. I'm guilty of it. I drive distracted, and BC presentations like this, it really does bring you back and make you focus and think about it again. It's self-reflection.
All right, so JC, with that admission, and I appreciate that, if you just are in a rush trying to get somewhere and you get into your car, you're likely to fall into your old habit. What will you do differently the next time you get in your car? And that can be a rhetorical question. I mean, some people say, I should carry a picture of my wife and kids in the car with me, or my husband and kids in the car with me. That reminder that's there. And if work permits, put your phone on do not disturb while driving. And I'll tell you something. Before Kaci was killed, anybody could invade my space in the car because I allowed it. Did everything in the car. Today, no one can. And you know what? That's my time now, and I value that time, and I wouldn't give it up. Yes, I see the question, presentations geared towards adults and parents. Yes, we have a presentation for that as well. I don't know where you folks are located, but I'm going to be in Waukegan. I think it's September 17th for the city of Waukegan doing a presentation. If anybody's close and you want to come by and see it, you'd be more than welcome to. I'm sure the city would be thrilled to have more folks come in. And then maybe
And
you
Tia,
can
if you want to
see.
reach out to Matt or myself, we can get you in contact with Joel as well, and get you connected with him.
JC, I just wanted to add that, I know the state police has an effort, and I'm sure Secretary of State does too. But as Joe pointed out, the fire service is very well respected, very well trusted, and people listen when we speak. So I don't think we can have too many voices chiming in on this subject and, to get that message out and try and bring down these numbers.
I will say also that the U.S. Department of Transportation wanted to see if our presentation was effective. So they created pre and post presentation surveys. And fortunately, over the last 3 or 4 years, we have been found to be effective. The kids, most of it's for driver's ed classes, so they're not yet driving. So can't comment so much on behaviors, but the kids certainly are speaking up more. They feel confident to speak up. They know more about distracted driving, and they realize now the responsibility of driving with respect to mom. It's, I'm a dad and I mourn my daughter, but there's nothing like a mom who's lost a child. You can't put that into words. There's nothing worse. And the kids are getting that. So it's an effective presentation you will have. And I'll walk anybody through it. You'll have the video. And I'd be happy if you're going to be doing a talk or something to work with you beforehand and make sure you're perfectly comfortable giving it.
I'm going to make a final call, Joel, for any questions that anybody has, and then give you a chance for some final thoughts. Matt, do you have anything else that you wanted to mention?
No, I just really appreciate Joel taking your time to come with us today. Another great presentation, and I hope everybody that's on the call considers, at the very minimum, talking to people in their family and their neighbors, and even taking this information into themselves to reconsider, what they do while they're driving, and really keep the word going.
Joel, do you have any final thoughts, any parting words that you want to tell everyone?
I know it would be probably different than what you've done in the past to go into a school and talk to teens. But they need your help. They need your help. And for all the reasons we've talked about, they're going to listen to you guys. They need your help. It's outrageous that we've allowed it to get this bad. My generation, I'm 71. A couple of you guys are a different generation, but it's not fair to the kids. But there's something we can do about it, and we need to do it. And hey, listen, if we're successful, it's going to keep you guys from going in crashes and being in the zone of danger yourself, right? So thank you all so very much. I appreciate the opportunity.